before our meeting, I would like to say that I wanted that my colleagues will introduce themselves, and after that, we'll continue our
Okay.
conversation. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Hello.
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 Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, too. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
No, that's okay. Weather is fine.
Yeah.
And we are
Where are you which part you calling from?
southern Russia, Rostov-on-Don. And where are
Okay.
you?
We're in Dallas, Texas, but Sergey will tell you I was in Russia about a month and a half ago, like
Oh,
end of
in,
February.
in which part?
I was in Moscow, but then I went to Siberia. I went to meet Eltex, and my wife is from in a city called Abakan.
Oh,
Yeah.
the big city.
So we went to visit the family.
Hmm. So you know all of the Russian culture as well as yours.
Not at all, not at all. I know to get in trouble, but with my wife, but that's it. That's how the only thing I know.
That's not the easy part of life, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I
All
guess
right. Do not know if Maxim will enter the chat.
It's we're a few minutes early, or maybe we
No,
give him because it's
maybe
like
we could start uh,
yeah.
to, to know a little better of each other.
Your
I'm
name
a,
is Rome.
my name is Roman. I'm head of research department of Ministry of Education of Russian Federation. We are
Hmm.
placed in Rostov-on-Don. We are making some soft and hardware for our ministry and for any governance structures. And our main focus is software and information security for governmental, also so-called GovTech, government technical
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
sites, servers, and systems of data storage, data lakes, big data, and so on, so on, so on.
Hmm.
Our new direction of research is artificial intelligence. So we're trying to make some steps into this direction. And maybe for me, the most important part of today's meeting is to get advance in some maybe directions of that part of my research. Artificial intelligence, maybe some hardware which could be used in this direction, and so on.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that, Rome.
Hello, guys. Yeah, another Roman, Roman Trasenko. Yeah, we are colleagues with the first Roman, and but I work for another company, and I'm a co-founder of a company that produces custom software. We are also located in Russia, a bit different city. The city's name is Taganrog, and in general, we work on creating complex web and mobile apps. We have a lot of customers in the US, and in general, I would like to evaluate these opportunities of potential collaboration and find out what could be used by us, by our country, from what you can offer, and
Okay.
that's my primary goal.
Okay, good, good. So I will, Amir Elmaz, I'm the CEO of Beyond Edge. We are a company that is focused on campus and enterprise networks, inside, not outside. So layer two, so almost, the switching layer. We don't do any the layer three. So as you know, advancements in software-defined networking make things easier, but on the other hand, they separate things. So SD-WAN focus primarily on layer three, because primarily on layer 2, we interface very well with the SD-WAN providers by that. So I'm going to share some slides, and then I will do a demo because it will be easier to show what we have. All right. So you guys see my screen? I'll go to presentation mode.
Yep, we can see it.
So, we are, like I said, software company that is focusing on helping accelerate the digital transformation within, campuses in enterprises by making everything automated. So, Romans, you guys both talked about, the advancements in AI and machine learning and all of that. At the end, where the most important thing is, right? Like I give a metaphor. You can build the most amazing car ever, but if it's a dirt road, it's not going to go super fast, right? So we are making the roads more agile, more secure, right? So the roads, I would call it, of the information. So all this very sophisticated things help. They are sitting on top of the network, and we build this foundation. So let's why we're here, right? What's wrong? Why we change? So number one for network outages is not technology, it's humans. So the problem with network outages is that people make mistakes in configuring, giving wrong commands, etc. And look, 70% of the networks are still managed manually with CLI. So if you have this, if you can automate every aspect by intent-based networking, by giving a predefined parameters, and the network operates itself based on these parameters, then you will have no human errors. And one of the things about our network, and you'll see when I do the demo, there is no code whatsoever for the network operator or the DevOps. It's all GUI, very simple. You see everything you do, so it's not even a low code. It's a no code solution. The second important thing. So the first thing is network resiliency. The network needs to work. That's the key. People rely on networks to operate. The second thing we bring is network security. Now, the network security that we bring is not of phishing, cyber, like firewalls, etc. This is actually the physical security element. The more understanding what devices you have, who's doing what. So another shocking data is that or should I say 3 out of 4 CIOs don't know what they have in their network. So close to 3/4 of LAN inventory is inaccurate. Now, how can you protect something that you don't even know what you have? We give you an instantaneous, dynamic map of what you have in your network, what is connected, who's doing what. It's all live. There's no database. If something changes, they will see that in the network immediately. So the network constantly go and audit itself, see what it has, and give you that map. And like I said, and the third thing we help organization is the cost. So there are multiple areas for cost in networks. And it depends on how your organization is built, but humans or network operators is a major cost in the network. And by having a complete automation, you can reduce by 80-90% of your personnel involved in managing the network because you have it fully manual. Now Roman from the company provide the services, not from the government. Think about, if you have few people, you can now serve 5 times more customers with the same amount of people. You can service more with the same amount, because It's setting up a network. If it takes weeks and days, now it will take minutes to set up a network because you just push a command and network finds itself, give you the map, etc. The second thing you help cut cost is by having the interoperability of hardware. You can choose whatever hardware you want. You can choose mix and match because it's a layer that sits on top of the hardware and can talk to different hardware at the same time. What do I mean? If you have, one of the reasons I mentioned I was in Russia about a month and a half ago is to meet with LTEX, in Siberia. And there, the idea was to go and start offering switches of LTEX and replace other switches with one-click button. So basically, we go in to a network, we get all the configuration out into the software-defined, and from that point onward, you can change from vendor A to vendor B with one click of a button. So it sounds crazy, but think about your Android phone, right? Think of us as like Android for networking devices. If you want to switch from Samsung to Xiaomi to whatever phone, you just put your credentials and that's it. Everything done automatically. Same with our technology. So the problem of today's world that is very hardware centric, and we break that. All right, so I'm going to share with you this presentation. I'm not going to go over everything in this slide, but basically our value proposition addresses all these issues I mentioned, increased network resiliency, improved security, reduce OpEx and CapEx, and we're able to bring software-defined networking even to old switches. We have some customers that they have 12-year-old switches. They still use them in Germany. They still use them, but we not put a software-defined that give all the flexibility that they didn't have before. So they have old Cisco switches. They didn't want to replace them, not to cause disruption, not to incur more cost. That. Another thing is when you switch from one solution to the other, you don't need a forklift. You can do it slowly but surely. You can start taking out one vendor and slowly introducing the next one. We are architecture agnostic. Are you guys familiar with passive optical LAN? So it's like where you put GPON inside buildings. Are you guys familiar with that? This is something that I told Sergey, and also LTEX, one of the other topics I read, is where people put now in campuses, universities, hospitals, hotels, whatever, they put fiber inside the walls to the office. For example, I have in my office, I have an optical device that I get Ethernet, Wi-Fi, all of it from a fiber. The benefits that you get is that you do home runs. You go all the way from a central location, you run fiber all the way to the office. So fiber can run 22 kilometers with no amplification. In comparison to Ethernet that you need every 100 meters, you have to put a switch. Fiber, you just do home runs. And it's significantly cheaper. We are architecture agnostic. We know to manage multiple technologies in the same network. So you might say, okay, here I want to have fiber, here I want to stay with the copper, here or this. So we don't care. For us, a port is a port. How you get to that point, let the system manage it. Some of our customers, I mentioned I was in Germany after Russia, and this is the Thyssen Group. They are very well known, elevators, metal, all of that, very large company. In Europe, we have 110 sites with them throughout Western Europe. So we are, as a software defined, it comes with blocks. So we also work on white boxes. We have our own network operating system. So if it's a blank device with no network operating system on it, we'll have ourselves. This is, hyperscale companies like this white box where you buy it with no software. It's very, very and they use it in their data centers. We use this in enterprise. And then you have the control layer. We have those, lighter blue, and then we have the application. In order to deploy SD-LAN, you need two things, very simple, two VMs, that's it. From that point, you go to your own network, we give you, right? We don't host anything, we know that, the technology is like, you install those two VMs, you go through a process of like, onboard to the SD-LAN. From that point onward, it's up and running. It's important to mention that we are the control plane. We don't see the data. We know the data is moving. We can see how and what, and I'll show you in the demo, but we don't see what the inside the packets. So it's important. All GUI, like I mentioned, it's built like Google Maps of the network. So as you zoom in, you're gonna see more and more information. You could zoom out and see the whole network. I mentioned ThyssenKrupp, they have 110 sites. They even have it like, drop down by country. Netherlands, you drop down, you see the 10 sites. Germany, you drop down, you see the 20 sites, etc. So you can kind of like create it in different desks. We even have a multi-tenant environment. So you have a company, a MSP that provides a service to multiple customers so they can bundle them per customer. And I'll show you. Just, two more slides just to show you like, that this is by the way, and prices that are here. Maybe, some other parts of the world, the price will be, less of a savings. Whatever it is, it's going to be still in the 20, 30, 40% that. So you can see here, this is a fiber-based solution into this very large building, 57,000 square meters, of office space. And you can see they save 60% on the equipment, 80% on how much to run the network, space, etc. This is the ThyssenKrupp that I mentioned, 109 sites in 9 different countries. They saved 75%. But the most important thing is day one, they put no money whatsoever. It's just like we deploy the technology. They just installed 2 VMs in their Amazon cloud, and they started migrating. And now, a year later, they start replacing the hardware, part of those 700 switches. The reason why they came to us is because Cisco told them all those old switches, you have to replace everything right now, do a forklift, and they didn't want to do that. Are you guys familiar with the concept of digital twins?
Yeah.
Okay, so part of our onboarding, we create your LAN digital twin. So basically, what we do in order to make a smooth migration and no hiccups, right? Because nobody pays attention to the network until it's down, and then it's a major catastrophe. So you don't want to be down. So what we do, we create a digital twin that is able to tell you what the network will do in a certain situation. Let's say you change a configuration, you change a VLAN, you add something. We run it into that model, and then we see the implication. So for example, we are now upgrading a very, very large client. We did this simulation, and we realized, we have a problem. Certain hardware doesn't support this, redundant Tor, certain that. So we were fixing it before we even try it. So, we do that part of the onboarding. So with that, any questions? What I want to do is I want to share with you that. Okay, so what are we seeing here? Virgin, Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I picked a nice place so you guys, see the hotel. This is the hotel, right? Virgin Las Vegas, hotel. I show you that because we don't have that many customers that allow us to get to their LAN, okay? We have very few sometimes. because at the end, the customer has it. This is a hotel with 1,515 switches, about 1,400 rooms. And as you zoom in, you can see the construct of that. Now, worth mentioning that you see these are all PON, so it's like instead of a regular switch, you will have a OLT, but it's for us, we don't care if it's optical or that. And as you zoom in, for example, in the OLT, you can see this OLT has 227 switches, and as you zoom in, you can see every room has a device, but for example, there is room 2616. There's a problem there, and I can tell you that its link is down, and we can see that there is a lost contact, at 9 p.m. and 9:38 p.m. All right, so I don't, the hotel will, the admin will have to go. Maybe the power is out, maybe this, but at the end, there's a problem, you can address it. All the other rooms around it, are working fine. But let's go here. Yeah, which one do you want to go? Like, let's, this one has 4 ports. Let's try this one. It's a suite. So you can see it's a suite. It has, the device is up running 44 days. Last time, there was a power reset, so it's the power is down. All the information, and as you see, there are 4 ports that are currently using. Green means it's being used and it's working. That lightning, this is PoE. So we even manage the layer 1, and you can see that there are access point, VoIP phone, the mini bar, and the TV, right? The LDP information we get for the AP and for the VoIP phone, and you can see this is a Meraki access point, and here is the graph of usage for this access point. And you can see this is typical hotel room. Why? When the guest is in the room, he's using it. So that guest was around noon, max 2.8 megabit at 12 p.m., left the room, came back at around 9 p.m., reached 5 meg, etc. So you can see 24 hours, you can go longer days. So you have this information based on a specific port. You have this information, you can do that based on a specific room, specific switch, all this information. For example, here I can see that port number 8, as being, wow. Look at this. This is like a gigabit per second. This is like a significant data was happening at that point. I don't know what they did, but 687 gigabit per second, so this is a lot of information. You can choose whatever hardware you want, and we will support whatever. So in this case, you saw it's almost like, 700 gig. I don't know what they were doing there, but they were doing a lot of data. If your hardware supported, we'll support it. Let's see some graph, a little bit of the the uplink. So this is, where usually the IPTV is the one that is, crazy. You can set graphs, whatever you want. Like I said, it's a drop down. You can, all the different systems. What is unique about us is that you don't provision devices to deliver service. So you don't go and say, oh, this is the path, this I provision this switch this way, and then I put the VLANs here and that. No, you just say, I want the following services. Here's the VLAN, different VLANs. Here's a example of Incom VLAN, whatever, 571. Let's pick something that, POS, right? This is the cashier. You can see that right now there are 4 cashiers in this hotel using this VLAN, and it gets up to a gig. So basically you say, I want this cashier here, and the network will go and figure the construct. We will calculate who's in the path, what we need to provision in a fully automated way. So when I said, like, to build a network like this, if you create a template, it will take a day or even less to provision all of it. Again, we are talking about almost 5,000 ports. A lot of tools to provision, PoE and other things, and this is part of those bundles. Do you want to see something specific? You're interested in, about networks, that maybe I can show here?
I have a few questions if you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. First of all, am I right, or maybe I'm not? I understand that your solution is just a software which is layered up on the existing hardware.
Correct in many cases, but one case that it's we even we are the base law. It's when it's called white box. A white box that you buy a switch with no software, just a little bit Linux to just operate to start it. But we then have to put a software that turn it into a switch. In a white box, we are not layered.
Okay, and on which hardware, on which type of kind of hardware your software have to run? I have to buy a strong server which will administrate all the LAN and all the hardwares, and have to connect it to the whole network or something else. What's the type of the architecture is used, and how it works when it runs in operational dimension?
Okay, so the 2 VMs, the 2 virtual machines, you can install on any x86 server. So any Intel from the family x86, you can run it. You can do it on your own appliance. So if you bring a server, we can install it on your server. We have many customers, small customers do that. The bigger customers, they just put it on the cloud in their instance. But we can run it.
Thanks.
The software that we manage, the different switches, I can say we manage any known large vendor today. We have a list of about 20 from Arista, Cisco, HP, Dell, Netgear, Atran, like the long list of different hardware that we support.
But some of this hardware have proprietary protocols, network protocols.
Beautiful, yeah.
And what's with them? How do you handle these protocols? I know that Cisco is very private, has very private protocols. They didn't share no information about them.
Correct. We use something very simple. Every switch has a container that is hosted, that is part of this VM, the controller. And what we do, Roman, we talk to the switch in the human interface. It's just a machine talking to a machine in the human interface that Cisco built. So Cisco needs to build an interface for the network administrator. We use that to talk to the switch. The switch doesn't know that there's a machine talking to it. It just gets command the way it is. So for example, Cisco, we write CLI commands, or not we, but the virtual machine Right. So you tell the orchestrator, I want to set up the following, VLAN and a map, etc. We write CLI command to the Cisco. We know it's Cisco, so we talk it in a certain way. If it's Juniper, we write to it in a different way. If it's Dell, we command it. So
you
we
automate.
don't-
You automate the work of an operator. If I were a human, I have to go to all the hardware devices and by hands put in all the commands in the CLI and interface and checking, working, putting it in the box, and then go to the next box and do the same work
exactly.
all and all and all after the 1,000 devices all over the auto. And you do automate my work as an operator. Am I right? Oh, good.
Correct. So we don't write anything to the proprietary hardware. We don't write anything with the hardware. You can keep the warranty. Nobody can say you did anything wrong to it.
How did you gather statistics? I do not know well if CLI commands could gather.
SNMP. Actually, you don't get a CLI. For Cisco, we get SNMP. Or we use sometimes netconf, another protocol. So whatever the hardware will enable. So we have, we always develop those special containers for different vendors, and we adapt it. And the network and the orchestrator knows, oh, it's a Juniper. This is how I'm going to talk to it. This is how I'm going to gather the statistics.
Okay, and your solution, is it cloud connected or it's all standalone solution that can be used in a private campus or private hotel without a connection to the network?
We support both. We have customers in both cases. Remember, we give you a tool. We can help you get to when it's up and running, but it's your tool. It's not ours. We don't see anything. We don't have access to it. Very, very few customers give us access to. Some customers run it on an x86 on-prem. Some customers use the cloud. We support both.
Just great product. Thanks a lot for your presentation. And I have a question that I'm going to ask. Do you not afraid of sanctions if you work as an American company with us? Yeah, we are working for educational purposes. We are not dealing with any governmental stuff, but almost it's Russian organizations, and you're an American company. How to deal with it?
So the way I was talking to Sergey, the majority ownership of the company is Israeli. So you will have to you will work with an Israeli company.
Mm-hmm. And Israel is not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot. All my questions is finished. Sorry, comrade.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm like, happy to answer.
Grab the microphone and didn't leave it.
I think Sergey, like you're on vacation. What? Like you look like you're, in a banyo Sunday. Well, like it looks very nice. I'm jealous.
As you.
I'm in the office, my friend. Like I just look tan because I worked in the house around outside. I have a lot of grass.
Wait, how's your wife?
She's doing good. She is expecting any week now.
Any week?
Yeah, she's 38 weeks, 39. Yeah.
I wish you every yes.
Yeah, Sergey met my wife. I'm very lucky guy. Very, very lucky guy. Yeah. But with Russian, you can't make me can't push it too much because you might die if you one day, So like if I make a mistake too much, I know I'm dead, So yeah, she's tough, very tough. Siberian women are, iron of fist. Yeah, so any question, I'll share the presentation that take a look. Any question you have, let me know, and and we'll continue the discussion.
Amir, I have one more question. Your software, do you understand right that it's a proprietary software, which means you created it? I mean, It's your company.
Correct.
Okay. Is it created in the US or in Israel?
In the US.
In the US. Okay.
We are owned by Israeli investors, so about 95%, and but it was created here.
Okay. Okay. If let's say if some companies in our country decide to use the software, they may ask you to provide with. They would like to do some study of the code just to make sure that there are no backdoors and things like that, because it's about networks and it's some kind of important software, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to provide us with such type of access?
We will probably have to branch something, because just to make sure that we protect our source code. Again, I'm not afraid of anything. It's just on the propriety, like on the IP right, because we invested a lot of money and we don't want it to leak somewhere, because we have a very unique solution. You can say very simple in the implementation, but very complicated to make it. So we understand that we'll have to do some lab that is kind of like certify that.
Okay. In general, if I'm just trying to figure out how, let's say I have some network infrastructure.
Yeah.
According to what you described, to me it sounded like very, very easy to deploy a system. Like you just install some software on x86 machine and that's it.
Correct.
So you don't, I'm just trying to understand the level of access of your software to the network nodes. For instance, do we have to provide your software with usernames, passwords, and so forth?
Yeah.
So no, it's whomever is using the implementation. Again, we can help with the implementation, and then yes, but if you do the implementation, then the answer is no. You have the tool. So we have an onboarding, like to start. There is a way, because the somebody has to tell the switch, SSH, this is going to be, this is the password, etc. The IP address. I don't have to know that. If you do it yourself, and we teach you how to onboard, I don't need to know this information. Some customers, we have a business unit that we help people onboard them and basically get them to start. Then they provide me this information. They provide me the IP. We running, in order to kind of like create that map that you saw, Roman, you have to create a lot of network telemetry. You have to understand. We create a visual representation in digital twin of your network for the first time. I have customers in Singapore and everywhere, and when they see the network for the first time, they're shocked, because they thought it was looking like this and it's looking different.
But that's the part. I'm sorry, but that's the part of work which is done by hands, not by automatic procedures, by hands. And an operator work with the architecture of the network and grab some information and then creating the digital twin.
Correct. So it's actually done automatically. So you run, the customer, there's a certain scripts that you run in your network. You create files that, because we go to every switch and tell them, okay, tell me who you are, what your server version, what this, where are you connected, who's the uplink, who's your neighbors. So you go to every switch and you create a map of the switch. And then you go to the next one. and then you create. So from creating all this data, we're able to create a map. It's like building a real map. Show me your longitude, latitude, and what's the altitude, right? So by those 3 points, you're able to create then later on the map of the whole area. So, and the onboarding tool, Roman, is about 95% automated. So, we are able to, once you get this information, there's a tool, offline tool, that is able to take this data and turn it into these, what I mentioned, templates. You create kind of like cookie cutters of like when you deploy the network.
But as a client, I have to create an inventory list which has all the devices enlisted in it and fixed, and has logins and passwords and so on, which are needed to have to take access to the device.
Correct.
So I have to make an inventorization at first, and then take your tool and create visualization and controlling map of all the land.
Correct. And by the way, it reminds me another point. Sometimes who has authorization to get to the switch or use that, and you have to create a lot. Once you do the SD-LAN, there's only one user for every switch. It's the orchestration. It's the SD-LAN. You can have multiple users for the SD-LAN, but in terms of security, you delete all the others, because if somebody didn't update or this on like who is doing what, and running config and no more. And if somebody does an unauthorized, let's say, gain access and does an unauthorized change to your network, the network will tell you, oh, somebody made a change, and will override it. So even if somebody does try to make by mistake, or by having some whatever the incentive they had, the system will go and say, uh-oh, my target configuration is this, I will override. It will change it, it will override. Every 30 seconds, it will override, whatever they change. So this is another tool for you to make sure that, people or the network follows what your guideline is.
Mm. And how do you provide an update for your system?
We send you a file, and and you download and you update it.
Okay.
Again, most of the networks we don't have access to. I don't have access to. I just the customers are taking that.
And if I decide to add a new device, a networking device, or replace some of them, then I will have to enter information about this device into the system, right?
Let me show you something. It's a good question. We're back here, okay? So let's go to this device. This device, this is a white box, by the way. This is like, a white box. Let me zoom in and show you what I mean. So it's a white box made by these guys. Here is the information. There are, if I want to change this device, I can, all this configuration here, different ports, etc. I tell it, hey, update this, serial number with a new one. The system will stop working with this serial number and will look for the new one. So it will go into kind of like floating mode, right? I'm like, okay, I have a configuration, I don't have associated hardware, and I'm looking for the new serial number. Once you plug, Roman, the new serial number into the network, it would say, oh, I recognize it. Here's the configuration I download. So for example, this endpoint here, I can, disassociate it, can disconnect the configuration from this hardware, and then put a new serial number, and once it's go, it will immediately connect again. You understand? It's like it's again, going back to your phone. If you have you basically say log out from my Android, that's it. All your photos, everything is going to be deleted, right? And now when you put a new phone, you're like, okay, here's my login. The difference is that you don't have this kind of a preparation or anticipation for new hardware, right? Only when you log in, it make it.
Okay, makes sense.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Eltex, but they are in Novosibirsk.
Internet provider.
No, they make the hardware. Eltex makes the hardware. They have a very nice operation. We have been using their product for 4 or 5 years, and we have been talking to them about how to migrate all the Cisco's, all the Junipers to Eltex switches, because they're made in Russia. Some vendors don't like the fact, some places don't like the fact that the hardware is made in China, so yeah, we're working with Eltex.
Okay, good. So if you can provide with, particularly me, I'm interested in learning more about setting up the initial setup of the software, and if you have any brochures or anything like that, just to understand, for instance, what information I should gather to have it set up, and what steps I should undertake, and so forth.
So I'll send you that later today. I'll send this presentation and also the onboarding presentation.
Awesome.
All right.
Great.
Yeah.
No? Okay, my colleagues. If we have not any questions, I believe we'll take a few time, and after that we'll continue our conversation. Okay.
Okay, Sergey. Roman, thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you, Amir.
Thanks a lot for the presentation.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Да, спасибо. До свидания.